What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing, and today I'm going to be predicting the outcome of Naoya Inoue versus Nonito Donaire 2, and this is going to be a 12-rounder for the unified WBC, WBA, and IBF Bantamweight World Championship, and this fight is going to be Tuesday, June 7th, from the Saitama Super Arena in Saitama, Japan, and this fight is going to be broadcasted on ESPN, ESPN Plus, or on the ESPN app. And to get at both fighters' resumes, Naoya Inoue, fighting out of Japan, holds an outstanding record of 22 wins with no defeats and 19 wins coming by way of knockout. He's currently ranked number 1 by BoxRec in the Bantamweight division. He's also the former WBC Light Flyweight World Champion, the former WBO Super Flyweight World Champion, and the current unified WBA and IBF Bantamweight World Champion. He's also the winner of the Bantamweight World Boxing Super Series as well. And to first of all list all of his best wins, he has a unanimous decision win over Ryoichi Taguchi. He also has a knockout win over Adrian Hernandez, a knockout win over Omar Narvaez, a knockout win over Jamie McDonnell. He also has a knockout win over Juan Carlos Payano, a knockout win over Emmanuel Rodriguez, and he also has a unanimous decision victory over Nonito Donaire in their first fight, which was in the World Boxing Super Series final. And he also has a very solid knockout victory over Jason Maloney. And to get his opponent's resume, Nonito Donaire, fighting out of the Philippines, holds a record of 42 wins with 6 defeats and 28 wins, coming by way of knockout. He's also currently ranked number 2 by BoxRec, so this is really just another big bantamweight fight between these two, the number 1 versus the number 2 in the weight class. And Donaire is the former IBF Flyweight World Champion, as well as the former interim WBA Super Flyweight World Champion, the former WBO Bantamweight World Champion, the former 2-time WBO Super Bantamweight World Champion, the former IBF Super Bantamweight World Champion, the former WBA Featherweight World Champion, the former WBA Bantamweight World Champion. He is also the 2-time WBC Bantamweight World Champion, and he also currently holds that WBC Bantamweight World title right now. So as you just heard, Donaire has really been around the scene for years. He's just about to turn 40 years old later this year. He's won numerous world titles, and he's just really one of the greats in the sport of this era. And to first of all list all 6 of his defeats, he has a unanimous decision loss early on in his career, like in his first couple of fights against Rosendo Sanchez. He also has a unanimous decision defeat to Guillermo Rigondeaux, a knockout loss to Nicholas Walters, a unanimous decision defeat to Jesse Magdaleno, a unanimous decision loss to Carl Frampton, a unanimous decision loss, as I mentioned before, to Naoya Inoue in their first fight. And now to list some of his best victories, he has 2 knockout wins over Viktor Chinyan. He also has a knockout win over Maruti Antalani. He also does have a knockout win over Volodymyr Sirodenko. He also has a knockout win over Fernando Montiel, a unanimous decision victory over Omar Narvaez, a knockout win over Toshiaki Nishikoya. Sorry if I pronounced his name incorrectly. He also has a knockout win over Jorge Arce, a technical decision victory over Sipiwe Vetyeka. He also has a knockout win over Ryan Burnett, as well as a very solid demolition of Nordine Ubali, and that's where he won the current WBC title he does have. And in his last fight, I believe he was able to knock out Raymar Caballo early on in their fight with a brutal body shot, and I believe that fight took place in December of 2021. So in my opinion, this fight is going to go in favor, once again, of the younger and arguably more powerful Naoya Inoue. Inoue, many people have him up there as one of the pound-for-pound hardest punchers in the sport. Carries a lot of power. Very good fighter, but his defense is lacking, but he has shown he has an amazing chin. And the only time that we've seen that chin sort of get cracked a bit was when he did face Donaire. But yet again, that Donaire fight, the first one, was in November of 2019. Now we are in the summer of 2022. It's over 2 years since then. So a lot has changed. Donaire's gotten older, whilst Inoue is continuing to develop in his prime and continuing to knock guys out and win titles. So I think that this one will be much tougher for Donaire. Although Donaire has looked excellent in his last 2 fights, Inoue is really just on another level compared to the other two guys he has faced. Even though I was picking Ubali to win against Donaire, I still think that Inoue is just levels ahead of a lot of the guys in the bantamweight division. And I think we will see that here. So, in their first fight, it was a war. It was Ring Magazine's fight of the year. But I just think that in those over 2 years since we saw these two fight, I just think that Inoue's gotten better, obviously. Donaire, he's just aging. When you age, normally the fighters, their chin obviously gets worse. They're more susceptible to getting knocked out, dropped, hurt, whatever. It's just the whole thing. Most of their attributes do obviously go down with age, and that's just what happens with this sport. Donaire obviously has to accept that, but in this old age, he's still winning titles, still knocking guys out, putting them on the canvas. So props to him. But just to break down this fight, I think that it will be very, very exciting while it lasts. I think that Donaire will hang in there till the later end of the fight, up until he does get stopped. Yes, I do think that Inoue will sort of make a statement by getting a stoppage win. And if he wins this fight, which I think he will become a 3-belt world champion. And we'll just have to fight for that one more world title, which is that WBO belt. Inoue, one of the best in the world. People do have him on their pound-for-pound list. He's either just outside or maybe inside there, just at the top 10, like maybe number 8, 9, maybe just at 10, somewhere around there. Inoue, very, very good fighter. I think in this fight, he's once again going to come forward. But at this time, I don't really think he will get really caught and wobbled by a left hook like he did in their first fight. But yet again, this is boxing. Donaire does have that crazy left hook. He could land it. He could really do some damage on Inoue. And that happened in their first fight, as I mentioned earlier. Inoue was coming forward, got caught with that counter left, he got hit with it, made a huge stutter step, looked very wobbled. He's shaken up, but he was able to battle back, and he actually was able to drop Donaire in their first fight with a liver shot. And I think that's what Inoue is going to be really keen on in this fight. It's really to the body. He's going to really try and come forward and break down the older Donaire, because obviously when you do age, the stamina obviously gets worse. It takes harder to really just work harder in the gym, obviously, to get better, to develop. It's just overall harder when you're obviously getting older in the sport. So I think that Inoue's main game plan is going to continue on like what he did in their first fight. Although he might get hit a lot like he does in the fights that he really just comes forward a lot in, which is most of his fights. I really think that Inoue will be coming forward. He will really just be trying to dig to the body with some big power punches, go to the head, really just try and break down Donaire. But I think Donaire will actually land a lot of great shots of his own. Like I said, when Donaire fought Inoue in their first fight, Inoue's defense wasn't that great. He was getting hit with a lot of punches. But yet again, Inoue's defense does make up for Inoue's offense does make up for his defense. As he really just bombards his opponents usually and doesn't let them really have their own offense. But Donaire was an exception in their first fight, as he was able to get a lot of his offense off, and I think that's going to happen again. But I think that Donaire will be fighting at mid-range or in the outside throughout. I think Inoue will be coming forward most of the time, digging to the body and to the head. I think Donaire will be trying to land some nice counter punches and really try to score points of his own. But I do think that Inoue will be getting most of his success in the majority of the rounds. I think the rounds will be somewhat competitive, but I think that Inoue will edge them. So let's say after the first 4 rounds, they could be competitive, but it could be like 39-37 in favor of Inoue, something like that around there. And I think most of the rounds will be fought very similar, with Inoue coming forward a lot. Maybe Donaire might come forward and try and exchange with Inoue, but most of the time I think it will be Donaire trying to fight more off the back foot, with Inoue coming forward a lot. So in those middle rounds, I see Inoue once again digging to the body again, really trying to come forward, really trying to break down Donaire, but I could see Donaire maybe eking out one round, something like that in the middle rounds, like a closer one, like a nice little competitive round, like maybe round 5, something like that, like right when the second half or is about to start, or when it just starts, like round 5, round 6, I could see Donaire edging one of those rounds. But then once like round 7, 8, 9 starts to kick in, I think that Donaire could be in a world of trouble. I know his stamina doesn't really usually cause problems for him. I think in this fight, Donaire or Inoue will be digging to the body a lot. He will get hurt to the body bad. He could get stopped with a body shot, but I'm edging headshot. I really think that Inoue will be able to stop Donaire and just break him down. Could be a body shot knockout, could be a headshot, obviously, but nonetheless, I think Inoue, with his work throughout the fight, will be able to really just sort of soften up Donaire, and I think Inoue could get a stoppage anywhere from rounds 8 to rounds 12, and I think leading up to the stoppage, let's say it happens in like round 8, 9, whatever, it could be like 78-74 in favor of Inoue, something like that, like 6 rounds to 2. If it goes obviously past 8. But yeah, I think that at that point of the fight, Inoue will be able to break down, or Inoue will have Donaire broken down a bit enough where he's able to sort of come forward, land a lot of his offense, maybe get a standing stoppage, whatever. It will just be a knockout, obviously TKO, knockout, whatever, corner stoppage, whatever it happens, it will go down as Naoya Inoue's 23rd victory and 20th knockout. So comment down below your thoughts on this fight. Who do you think is going to win? As you just heard, I think that Inoue will get the victory here. So overall, I believe that Naoya Inoue will become a 3-belt Bantamweight World Champion, as I think that he will defeat Nonito Donaire in their rematch by knockout, and I think that the stoppage will happen from rounds 8 to rounds 12. And yeah, that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.